We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of our Mental Health Awareness right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy. My one guest is Dr. Kara Larson. My other guest is Joaquin. We're not going to pronounce the surname. He can pronounce it for us.
Joaquin Harbite.
There we go. I'm not going to do it disjustice or injustice. So we're going to be talking about mental health today, but we're also going to be talking about business, how to use your mental health in your business. And they've got this wonderful lovely site called CozyMind. Now, we don't think about the mind being cozy. We always think about it being busy. And they said that they leverage their doctoral knowledge of the human mind and body to empower entrepreneurs struggling with exhaustion and motivation. They've designed a system that optimizes your productivity through mental wellness, tools, hacks, and leaves you feeling 50% less stressed at the end of the day. Quirky adventure Kara can be found eating spicy miso ramen in Japan over the waterfall of over India. And Joaquin is a BBA degree with 20 years of meditation and mindfulness expertise, and also a co-founder of the CozyMind, passionate about changing people's mental well-beingness. He spent his past 5 years transforming burnt-out professionals from all over the globe. He has designed practical tools to shift the way we work and reduce the stress levels for optimum performance and productivity in every aspect of your lives, folks. This is, I think, one thing people need to understand. You may be doing business, but your life is your business too. And we need to treat it sometimes like a business. And that means that there has to be some downtime. And I think, especially in the world that we're in right now, with so much turmoil and hurricane going on, we don't know how to decompress or compartmentalize mentally what is going on the onslaught of it. So welcome both of you, Kara and Joaquin. Let's have a distressful show here and show people how they can let it go. Kara, let's start with you. Why is this so important for people to learn to decompress?
Yes, well, thank you, Sarah, for the lovely introduction, first of all. And I know, at least in my background, so I got my PhD in biomedical engineering. So I've been in research, I've been in the graduate school space. I've also been in the patent law space as a patent agent. I've been in the project management space, managing projects for a small biotech startup. So I've been in a lot of areas where there is a lot going on, and it can be very stressful and tricky to manage. And oftentimes there's this feeling where you feel like you need to sacrifice your personal health in order to keep up with the workload that you have. And what we're doing here is showing you that it doesn't have to be that way. You can be more productive at work and reduce your stress levels at the same time. It does not have to be an either or. So that is really something I'm passionate about, because I know in the past when I haven't had these tools in my life, I've had situations where I've had back-to-back sicknesses because my body was just so run down, and you don't want that, right? The business doesn't want that. So I'm really here to talk about how the decompressing can support you, and the time to do it is before ideally you're feeling the stress, so that you don't get there. But if you are burned out, these will support you also.
Yes, meditation, a lot of people think it's cross-legged and kumbaya. And, I have a wonderful gentleman, a monk that I interviewed, and he said, no, you need to meditate amongst the chaos. And he would take people into Times Square and how to be still and silent in the mountain amongst the chaos around us. We're not taught that, and we don't know how to find our center, in what's going on around us. Just go in. Everybody thinks it's an outside job, but it's an inside job, isn't it, Joaquin?
Yeah, totally. Actually, what you mentioned was one of the things that my teacher in India would tell me. You know, it's easy to come to India and do a retreat, but the real practice is when you go back to the city. And that was something that I suffered firsthand for many, many years, learning how to actually integrate those practices, you know, in the city at Times Square.
Yes,
Everyone's life is Times Square, right?
yes, yes.
So that's the tricky part. And throughout the years, I feel like I've really gained a lot of knowledge from different techniques and practices, how to make that very, very tangible in your life, and how that can help you in so many different ways. And that's kind of, we have a lot of knowledge on meditation, breathwork practices, yoga, movement that you can apply according to whatever it is your need. This is kind of when people think about meditation, it's like a big ocean and you don't know where to start, and there's so much going on that it's scary. And that's where we come in and we really, really nail down what it is that can support you during your workday.
Yeah, it's not one meditator style that suits all, right? You know, we have to find what is it, you know, what is our meditative style that helps switch off that part of the brain and really relaxes, because it's not like everybody can go cross-legged on home kumbaya and off they're gone. You know, it's for everybody. It might be a sense of jogging or going somewhere else. You know, it's where do you find your center? Where can you take that breath? And we have to find that.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be like this major exercise that you do. It can just simply be, you know, whilst you're going to get a cup of coffee, just think about every step you take. And it's as simple as that. And you disconnect from all the mental chatter, the famous monkey mind
Yes.
that we have. So there are many, many, many practices that can serve each person. And it's about learning those and see what fits best for you. And that's kind of the process that we try and engage.
Which is very, very important. In Akara, I've got definitely the monkey mind. There's always chatter going on. But for me, I've learned, I've always got a movie going on. And if I want to be stimulant, I'll make the movie interesting. If I want to be restful, I'll make it boring. And then it tunes me out and calms me down. What kind of are you suggesting of people do when they are in the workplace and it is hard for them to just take some time out to do something? What is a good practice for them to do to kind of switch off maybe from the static around them at that moment?
Yeah, beautiful question. So there are a couple different practices that I like to recommend, and most of these you can do between 2 to 5 minutes, which sometimes feels like a lot when you're trying something new, but I promise you have 2 to 5 minutes. And the fastest ones are normally breathwork practices. So ones that we tend to offer up to our community, there's a breathing practice called a 4-7-8 breath. We love coaching that one. So you're breathing in for a count of 4, holding at the top for a count of 7, and then releasing out for a count of 8. And you only need 2 to 3 breaths to really get some benefits to that. It's also a great way to open up a meeting if you're leading a meeting, or to center yourself right before a meeting so that you're not bringing in anything from your last task or your last meeting, and you can really be fully present, both you and your team, if you're leading them through that exercise.
Whenever I'm doing a public speak, and I like more intimate groups, that I'm not a big arena type person, but I will have people take the breaths. Take the deep breath, because what I find it does too, from your chakra lines up when you're taking a deep breath, right? As the lungs are opening up, the chakras lining up, the body is lining up, the chi, the energy can run through you. And those 3 deep breaths, as you say, kind of whatever you've brought in with you, let it go. You're centering yourself, and what you're doing is tuning in to the frequency that is there. So it's up to us as the presenters to make sure that frequency is welcoming. Joaquin, I can see you nodding here, that how it can set the stage so well.
Yeah, totally. Very well said. It's so important to really set the intention and become more mindful on what's really going on. And when we incorporate this really, really simple and short practices, that's a great way to kind of tune in that frequency and keep your mind at bay with, am I too stressed? What's going on? What's the chatter inside? If you can just like calm yourself for even a minute or 2 minutes, that makes such a big difference. And you can start making better decisions from a different place, and also interacting much better with people in a more calming, soothing, compassionate manner. I think those are really, really, really important things that maybe we're not taught at school or during university, but it's honestly, it's just, if not more important.
Yeah. I'm sure, Cara, you've been in a meeting where everybody's kind of rising, their voices, the angst, the everything going up, and all you want to shout is take a breath. And we know when we see people get wound up, the voice goes higher, the body gets more tense, everything gets more angst, and there is no clarity during that time. There is no spirit coming through you. You have shut everything down, and there is no reasoning with someone in that state of being either, because they're shut down. So the taking a breath and having the balls to actually say in a meeting, I'm sorry, everybody's going to take a breath, let's do 4 in, hold it for 7, let it out. It's sometimes you just have to be that kind of conductor. Okay, now we're getting way off track here, let's just take this breath and bring it down. And it's okay to say that, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And if for some reason you don't feel comfortable speaking up, or if you're in customer service, you're getting out of a call that's really emotional for you, or a meeting that was really emotional for you, or even off a personal call in a lunch break that was really emotional, like those are great times to also use, whether it's a breath work practice, or I coach a lot of yin yoga poses too, to support people in getting in their bodies, which some of them are easy to do at work. Some of them people feel less comfortable about doing at work, and then mostly only do when they're doing work at home. But those practices are always available also.
We've seen so many people now working from home, a lot of businesses. In some way, the benefit is through wonderful Zoom, which is a company that did very well during this pandemic, but has served as well too, because it's opened the doors literally around the world, and it's increased clientele for many, many people. But with that comes different stresses, right? So it is between your calls, and I notice some people, I've only got this amount of minutes, and no, don't pack your day like that. Don't pack your day like that, because what are you doing? You're packing your stress. Where is the in between where you can take a breath, digest what the one call you've just had, and be prepared for the next one? And I think time management is something that is essential in our mental wellness. Who wants to address that one?
Yeah,
but both of you. Okay, well, Joaquin,
we're both gonna go.
Yeah, no, I want both
Joaquin, you
perspectives.
can go first.
I just want to say something related to what we call brain breaks, or this meditation breathing practices. And working from home, actually, you can do so much more, because you probably have more space and you're not scared that someone else might look at you weird. And there's so many very, very simple practices to re-energize your body. Like when I feel a little tired, I just do a bit of elbow planking on the floor for a minute, and you start that digestive kind of fire core going on. That really helps my mind get a bit of a spark. Also, when I'm feeling like really tired, I like to take a little longer breaks, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, even 15, depending on how tired I feel. That's also related to time management. But what happens is that you think that if you do more in less time, then you'll get more things done. But the thing is, you end up not enjoying what you're doing, having all this mental strain. And with, this very, very simple techniques, you're actually way more relaxed and with more focus and energy at the end of the day. And that is, yeah, and productive, of course. And that's simply priceless, in my opinion. And it's just like really so simple. It's just a matter of organizing your day in a way that includes, you know, these practices and all the other things that we also coach. And this is where I leave Kara.
Yeah, I get really excited when people talk about time and scheduling and saving time. I was the person who, you know, Googled all the productivity techniques and like did all of them and, you know, burnt myself out a little bit trying everything. So that's again why I'm so excited about what we do, because you can have that both end. You don't have to burn out yourself in order to get the time savings. And for those of you who are a little more analytical, I'd like to share just a couple statistics that have fallen into my lap. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with Chris Bailey's work. He wrote The Productivity Project, which is a great book. And he also wrote a book recently, How to Train Your Mind, which is on Audible. And in How to Train Your Mind, he talks about the importance of what we like to call brain breaks, but little meditation practices during your day, and how when he started out, he thought that anyone taking those kinds of breaks, right, they were wasting their time, so to speak. And as he started experimenting more with them in his own life, he realized that for every 1 minute that you're doing these very mindful breaks, I'm not saying they're any like type of break, but like a very nourishing, mindful break, that you gain back about 9 minutes for every 1 minute that you spend in that mindfulness state, up to, you know, 30 minutes per day. So basically you can multiply 30 minutes times the 9 that you save if you're doing 30 minutes of mindfulness, and you can save up to 4.5 hours of time. And the reason why he argues that is because most people are going to be like, okay, how is spending 30 extra minutes saving me 4 hours? That makes no logical sense. But for a lot of us, we're doing knowledge work.
Yes.
And it's really hard for us if we're in, you know, the work and not taking a step back, as you mentioned earlier, to, you know, digest and integrate what we did. And in addition to that, our minds can't go all the time. We're using them like Olympic athletes use their bodies, but Olympic athletes take quality rest to nourish their bodies so that they can go back at it again. And we aren't doing that with our minds. So that's one reason. It helps restore the energy. It also helps improve your focus. It helps, you know, you open up that creativity and realize like, hey, is this task really the most efficient way to get me from A to B? Or should I, you know, shift ways? And in that recuperation of energy, you're actually able to do more since you have energy past, you know, that 2 p.m., 3 p.m. slump that we often feel. You're able to have the same energy that you had in the morning.
I'm going to add another thing into that. I've been doing this 10.5 years now. I'm also going to say authenticity. I know the people that are going in from one meeting down to the next, and they become very robotic. And it's like, but you're not interacting with me. You're not speaking with me. You're speaking to me. And you know it. And it's like, well, I've got the next meeting to go, but you're not present in this one. Right. And this is, I think, I do only generally 2 shows a day. They're over an hour each, and I do all the productions with them. And from start to finish, they can take up to 4-5 hours, depending once I get it out there. And I have a lot of other prep work in between. I used to get fretful over, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. No, come 5 o'clock, I'm shut down. I'll check email to make sure that people are still coming tomorrow, and, you know, I'm up to date with things, but I am shut down. Business is finished for the day, right? And this is something that we need to learn to do. It's okay to minimize your amount of work and people you're going to see, because that means each person you're seeing, you're being more authentic and real because you're more present. And by trying to pack everything in, you become very robotic, and people just know, there's nothing, I'm not feeling the genuineness here. You know, I feel I'm being pitched something rather than being building a business relationship or relationship of any kind whatsoever. So I think pacing yourself, time management, taking the breaks in between to digest that last call. Maybe there's notes you need to take, maybe there's things you need to do, then emptying that and refreshing yourself ready for the next, I think is being not only authentic to the people that you're doing with, but I think you're being true to who you are. Joaquin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with what you say. And it's funny you mention it because we work on these things called what we call productivity routines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we aim for to work with our clients, having a routine to start your day and to finish your day. Because if you don't actually finish your day, then you're all the time on your phone and it's just like so draining. So it is so important to set boundaries for yourself
Yes.
and others.
Oh, boundaries, the big word, Cara. Not borders. You know, we're not segregating ourselves. We're talking boundaries where my energy is now spent. I haven't got any more to spend. I'm compartmentalizing my life in my work and my play and my own time. Those are my boundaries. Right? And people are scared to set boundaries, aren't they, Cara?
Oh yeah, it can be really difficult. And starting to incorporate these little practices into your day, setting that boundary for yourself can be really uncomfortable and really difficult. Just like having conversations with your boss about like, hey, I need to set some boundaries with my work so I can best perform for you. Or maybe I need to set some boundaries at home, so that I can do whatever feels good. It could be self-care, help. There's so many areas where it's important to set boundaries. And part of that boundary setting is knowing what you personally need and knowing what you want to set your intention on and focus on and prioritize.
Intention is really, really important. You know, today it has changed. It's not what you're selling, it's who are you selling it. If we don't buy the person, why would we buy from them? And there are so many other people out there doing similar things. It's like, no, I'm not feeling the connection. Yeah, you may have a good product, but I'm just not feeling the connection. We want connection. You know, COVID definitely has put us into that, more in that state of mind. We want to know the people we're working with or working for or representing our clientele, that there is a synergy and nice connection between us. Everybody goes away feeling better. It's less about the product and more about that connection that then makes that product even more productive, right? And I think people kind of draw this, no, business is business. I've got this business hat on. I've got to be one persona and I'm a different persona here. No, we want you to be real. We want you to be you. We want to know that you can look at us in the eye and you see us. You're here to pay attention. And that is something I think that in business is changing radically, thankfully, because nobody wants to be a number. But it's also for some people, a real pivot of change of the way they're used to being doing business. And it can be a mental strain because, yeah, but the boss wants me to close these numbers. How do I do it and still build up relationships? And that can put a lot of mental strain on people. Cara?
Yeah, so I'm hearing a couple different elements, and part of that for me is, it doesn't have to be an either or. Oftentimes when we're nourishing ourselves, we're better at creating those relationships. And there isn't just one way to go from A to B. There's always more than one path. And it makes sense to lay out an outline and start things out and see where you go. But there comes a time where I believe there's a check-in point where it's like, okay, is this actually working out for me, or would my time be better spent, doing option B? And I know that in a lot of the work that I've done in the past, and even working with people now, the options where I'm in communication with someone, oftentimes seeking out an expert is the faster shortcut. It's not always the option, but it makes things so much smoother, easier, and you don't feel like it's all on your shoulders either.
Right. Yeah, it becomes that interaction becomes a two-way street, doesn't it? Joaquin, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with creating that connection, nourishing that connection, whether it's your client or whoever it is. That is so important. It's becoming more and more important today than it was before. I think the mindset from, people 40, 50 years old over is changing radically to the people that are in their 30s, in their 20s, and these are the people that are taking over. So, and people know how important it is to actually make that connection with the other person. So that's becoming more and more important, in my opinion, and kind of going through a process together.
Yes.
Whether it's, just selling a product or actually coaching or whatever it is, you really want that connection, and that making that sincere connection is what's gonna get you to the end, whether you are someone buying something or you are someone selling something. So I do believe that it's paramount to really engage with that other person, even if you don't come from the same place or don't agree on whatever it is, but just having that real connection is such a beautiful part of life itself. And if we are more aware on where we're standing and what's happening on the other side, then that's really important.
My kind of career started off, it was more in public relations. So it's always been about, by serving the customer and making them feel heard, seen, and that we are addressing their issues, we ended up with more loyal customers. And then who speak about you, which broadens your whole business. And it just means putting yourself out a little bit, that little extra, in order to please them, because ultimately they're your bread and butter, right? So it goes with anything in life. If we approach people with the attitude of, I really do care, I really do care, then those people put themselves out more. My son owns a small restaurant, and at the beginning of COVID, literally 3 days just before COVID, he had snapped his Achilles, and he had had an operation, and he's in a cast, and I had gone over to look after him, and COVID happened. And it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to have to pivot more to takeout? He's there at the phone with his leg up in a cast, just taking orders. And all the way through, since then, it has been, how do we pivot? How do we pivot? How do we pivot? And he had 33 staff underneath him. And it's like, I can't maintain all of these staff. How do I let some go and maintain others? And it's always been about, we are family. We are going through this together. I'm not going through this. We are going through this. How are we all going to survive? What ideas have you got? How do we pivot? And he has mental health days for his restaurant. It's too hot in the kitchen. I'm not going to put my staff through that. He did 1 week where all of the profits for the week went to the staff, not to the bosses. And you know what, they've had COVID, or they've had this, or it's been just an excruciating time. We're closing down for a couple of days and giving everybody a break. And the incredible thing is, the community supports him. Not like, well, you're not open. No, thank you for putting your staff first. So we've got to remember, the way we treat other people, the people we work with, the people that we work for, or the people that work for us, is a reflection on who we are, on our business, and has a ripple effect out. And that is so important, because that ripple effect, if it's a bad one, can shut you down very quickly. If it's a good one, it opens out way beyond any marketing that you could do. Hey, Cara?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One of the reasons why we haven't just created like an online course for people is we want to be there with you. We want you to have access to us and be able to ask questions. And we don't want to bring in too many people at once so that you don't feel like you're getting a little bit of one-on-one attention, because we know it's hard, like to shift a habit, and it, like, yes, you can do it alone. And a lot of this is simple, but it becomes harder when you're working through consistency, and there are so many little things that you're already tracking in your life.
Yeah.
It can be really helpful to have someone else, to rely on. And I love also when you were talking about the interconnection between the staff and how he would, give them the profits during certain weeks. And I think it's just so beautiful. And I think it's a testament to, the inner space of the leadership as well. Often when we're in a burnout phase, there tends to be more of a focus on I, because it's been deprived for so long. So when you're doing these practices, it does help you build relationship and think about doing those things for your community, whether that is people in your home that support you, or peers in your business, whether they're, lower in the hierarchy or above you, or other companies you're interacting with, or your clients. All of them support you in some way. So thinking about ways where you can, show your gratitude and appreciation is what I'm hearing in that too.
Well, in actual fact, he did have a burnout, because actually as boss, and he had a relationship breakdown, and then he had something else go on. And it was numerous things, constantly juggling, and he did have a burnout. And his staff turned around and said, "We've got this. Go and take time for yourself. Go and do what you need to do. We've got this." And that's when you know that you've really built a community. And I think that's, in any form of business, that's what you want. Even if it's a big business, there are departments. Nourish your own department, right? So that your department feels that they're a part of something, a part of a family. But I want to take this a step further. We've talked kind of around business and how it benefits the business. But, as I said, 5 o'clock, I'm switched off. When people go home, the last thing you want to do is take your stressful day with you. And so even on your trek home, or even if it's from, the office into the lounge, you've got to take that time to switch off the day and open up your channel to your family, your friends, or even just your evening with yourself. That is a really important practice in mental health, isn't it, Joaquin?
Yeah, absolutely. And we try to think of how those kind of practices can apply to whatever your lifestyle is. Once we had a client who started biking back home, and it was like a 20-30 minute bicycle ride. And that was the key for him to disengage from work and get home and be like, "Hey, I'm home. I'm here. I'm ready to be here."
Present.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have that in between your work and your home space. If you work from home, then you'll have to maybe get out of home.
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk, go for a smoothie, a coffee, do sports, whatever it is that supports you in taking that break from all the stress of the day. Taking a shower, taking a bath, depends on the season of the year, depends on if there's sun, if it's raining, whatever it is. It's really important that you do that consciously every single day.
Yeah, but you've got people who are mothers or fathers who are staying at home. They're 24/7 parents. And, the partner gets home and it's, "Oh, thank God you're home. I've got an adult to talk to. And can you take over?" Because I've been doing this all day. And there are, especially when it comes to any form of caregiving, it's very difficult for people to find that time. And I think that's where we need to be supportive of one another and realize this person doesn't have a 9 to 5. And you can't switch off, because it is, you're taking care of someone or kids, and kids can be very demanding. Had 3, I know. Grandson, I know. And when they're on, and you have to be on with them, right? So it's, when they have a nap or when they go to bed, that's when you can decompress. But that's where, the old terminology, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think this is where it's okay to actually say to extended family members, to friends, to this and that, "I need a break," or "let's rotate our kids." I'll have yours, you have mine, you know, and to make sure that that whole meditative and decompressing and aligning yourself, it goes beyond, because raising a children, as far as I'm concerned, is a career choice. You may not get paid for it, may not get many thank yous for a while, but it is a career choice, and it's one of the most responsible things you can ever do. And we don't look at that, and we don't teach parents how to let it go. Cara?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that came up for me when you were talking about that, because funny you bring up kids, because I was just visiting some friends of mine. They have a 17-month-old, and she's beautiful and adorable and super smart. But yes, very on the go, like always asking questions, getting fussy at different times. And yeah, it takes a lot of patience. I wanted nap times when she wanted nap times, you know. And yeah, what I heard in all of that was a couple things, because yeah, there are those of us who are, you know, handling both business and parenting. And there are also some people who they might not be handling the parenting part, but their business might have a, you know, part A at work and part B extra at home. So one of the things we do with our productivity routines is like learning how to shut down your work at different phases. And we talked a little bit about transition phases, but kind of just writing out where you are so you know and can pick up what's next when you arrive the next day or that evening. And in terms of finding, you know, that those spaces and those breaks when you are parenting and you do have, you know, that extra level of responsibility. What I heard in some of your suggestions amongst community was, you know, how can I bring in some outside support and maybe delegate some things or trade off times where we're watching the kids so that I have, you know, that extra time for the self-care. Or, you know, maybe I'll cook meals this time, you watch kids, you know, but finding those opportunities for sharing and delegation. And some people have, you know, the funds to pay for management, but you don't have to have the funds. You can support yourself in building that community, is what I'm hearing too.
Yeah, definitely. And that, you know, if you are the traditional, you know, spouse coming home, you know, she's longing for a conversation, you're maybe wanting to shut down. Use that interim time of going home to do your shutdown. So when you go home, you can be present at home and realize that, you know, quite honestly, it's a different hat you're putting on now. And you're now a parent or a spouse, you know, and what do they need? You know, because there's you, there's them, and then there's the us. And make sure that you can be present in the us, right?
Exactly. And I know for some of us, I've coached some individuals who are moms, and they are in like very corporate environments. And part of that transition is not only the presence, but the shifting out of kind of the masculine energy of the work and coming in with the motherly energy, and letting that be a conscious shift.
Yes. But, you know, as a mother, making sure you don't become too mothering of the people at work, because
yes, it's just shift both ways. What
that
energy
never worked
should
with
you
me.
bring? Yeah.
I was a mother before I was a mother. So, you know, that mothering is always there, and it's part of who we are. And I think people have to accept that, you know, that's a part of who they are. They're carrying the mothering, and you become that kind of symbol. But, you know, in that, I think, you know, the burnout is so easy to have, because, oh yeah, so-and-so just needs me to do this, or so-and-so just needs me to do that. What we're seeing a lot in the workforce right now is people saying, you're paying me for from this to that time. I am not working beyond that time, right? My mental health, my well-beingness is more important. There are no after work calls. There is no, just finish this off at home. You know, none of that anymore. And I think that is actually really, really healthy, kind of draws the line. What do you think about that, Joaquin?
Yeah, I think setting priorities in your life is really, really important. And again, we go back to boundaries. And another thing I'm hearing throughout all this conversation is, and this is something I really try to show, is being vulnerable.
Yes.
I think
Greatest gift you can give yourself.
yeah, yourself and others, because you're communicating better what's really going on with you, and you are understanding what your needs are, and you're putting them out there. A possibility could be, instead of showing yourself vulnerable, being shutting yourself down, and that's never a good thing, but that sometimes happens because in our age and society, being vulnerable is not really well seen. It's kind of being frowned upon. I feel like that's changing also as well every time, and people are actually, congratulating people who are putting themselves out there with, their issues or whatever it is, saying we are humans, we're not robots.
Yeah, we're normalizing it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's really powerful when you put yourself out there. I myself have done that in the past quite a while, and surprisingly, I've received, the most love and care and connection with people, and they actually start opening up with you when you start being vulnerable. And that's something maybe we don't expect. We feel we're going to be judged and kind of, you feel a little icky inside. But then once you do that, it's totally the other way. It's totally the other way around. And we should have that more available into our lives, I believe.
100% agree with that. I'm just editing my memoir. Again, and it is very intimidating to write that, and I've kind of written it observationally in an article type form, and that's still, kind of looking at your life, over the years, and the things that you did, and oh God, why did I do that? And things that you've learned from it. And one always is scared to put out that vulnerability, because human beings have become so incredibly judgmental. We always had that tendency in it, and it's had its peaks and highs where, compassion was lost and judgment was stepped in. And we love to see people climb up into that pedestal, but God forbid they should do one fraction of the thing we think wrong, and then we like to tear them down. And that is, the nasty part of human nature, and something we need to hold accountable in each and every one of us. But the more and more we, believe me, I've had people share things on here that they've said, I've never told anybody that before, and some incredibly vulnerable things. But in doing so, they've empowered other people to say, but that happened to me too, or I relate, or something similar happened, and I'm not less than. I'm not less than because this happened to me. And we've also got to turn the terminology. What happens to you is happening for you to discover your strength, your ability, your courage, and just how awesome you really are. And the word I love is flawsome, because there isn't any single one of this that doesn't have a flaw of some kind. But if we could be flawsome and look at our flaws as something as a building blocks of who we are into our strength, I think we would let go of the external judgment. But judgment is one that I think we have to hold ourselves accountable to, because who are we to judge? Cara?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I love flossom. That's
It's a
beautiful.
beautiful word, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's a lovely word. I think it just
Yeah.
really describes it. Yeah.
And as you were speaking, I was thinking about how oftentimes when we're in the biggest moments of breakdown, where it is that time to step into vulnerability and admit to ourselves and our community that we're not okay, or we're struggling, or we're in burnout, and we can, like, part of that enables you to pass the baton and be like, I don't have to hold this and let this be causing me to sink to the the ocean floor. I can hand it off to that community, and be supported. And in those breakdowns is also a chance for us to learn and to grow and to expand. And it might not feel good while we're there, and it might feel really embarrassing, and it might feel really hard. And you might not immediately see, a light at the end of the tunnel, but they, as you mentioned, they are the things that make you stronger. And The expansion is not always comfortable. It's not always delivered the way, you know, we want it life's right.
Yes.
But yeah, I love that we're talking about vulnerability, and I know in my own life, one of my biggest challenges was the death of my father really early. My first year in grad school, I was 22. My sister was 18. Came out of the blue, and since our parents were divorced, all of a sudden we were executors of an estate. And I just remember, I don't know if you follow Brene Brown or, yeah, so she has the Atlas of the Heart, and I actually didn't even know till I was listening to it on a road trip. I think it was maybe like 7 months ago, that the emotion I was experiencing wasn't just grief, but anguish.
Yes.
And I still, you know, there's a lot of healing that's happened. It's been about, 9 years later, but I'll always love him. I'll always miss him.
And he'll always be there. I lost mine when I was 11. And so that is, God, now 57 years ago. And there's always that, I wish he'd walked me down the aisle. I wish he'd met my children. I kind of now see him in a different light at different stages of my life. And I wish that conversation was there. But the point is, you can have that conversation. You can have that conversation with the spirit, and it will be responded to you in a different way. You know, it's not the face-to-face conversation, but you will feel little signs. You know, nature has a wonderful way of communicating with us. And when we are present with self and we're still, we get those lovely feelings, we get those lovely memories, we get those little things that come. And that is that form of communication. And if we're willing to be open up our channels and let that beautiful energy and wisdom come through us. You know, I'm a knowingness igniter. So for me, it's always been about the universe comes and speaks through me. It speaks through my soul to ignite my heart into strength and wisdom, to get my spirit into action so the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And I feel if we could feel that energy come through us and understand what it is we need to know, that's the wisdom of our knowledge. Knowledge itself is not wisdom. The wisdom is knowing how to use the knowledge. And if we use our soul, heart, mind, and spirit in that equation, A, we're never alone. B, the answers are always there. We're always supported. And we will simply know what we need to know when we need to know it without fretting about it. So it's, your dad communicating, he will communicate in all sorts of ways. Mine still does 57 years later. And, my mum passed a few years ago. They have their way. And sometimes it's just the warm memories, those warm memories of things that have happened. That is also a way of communicating and of letting you know they're still there. They're still watching over you. Yeah. And I understand the anguish part of it too. So, and that is because we don't quite know what to do with them. Now they've gone. We don't quite know, how to navigate through life. And it's one step at a time, one step at a time. And I think this is also something society demands. Well, hasn't there been enough grieving time? Or haven't you got over it yet? You got divorced years ago. Why are you still feeling like that? There is a process to life of letting things go that hold you back. Some people are very good at going through them quickly. And some people don't know how to let go, or they don't realize the clamps are still on. And the more that you help them to center themselves, to breathe, to align themselves with themselves and manage their mind so they can have a cozy mind and not a turmoiled mind, the more they're going to be able to take that into every aspect of their life, which is really, how did the name CozyMind come? I love the name. How did that come about?
It took were we in a hostel?
No, we're at my place. So we met in India like 4 years ago, doing a yoga teacher training retreat, yoga and meditation. And then Kara came to visit me. I live in Barcelona. And so we were at the couch, just chitty-chatting away life, whatever. And I get this call from a friend who's, doing a lot of work, and he's so stressed, and he doesn't know what to do with his life. He's calling me, and I can hear like the dog barking and the baby crying and the wife shouting at him, and he's like, please
Yes.
help.
Yes.
And that's where we came up with CozyMind, actually. And he was the first person we helped. And that has evolved into not just the mindfulness aspect, but more of the performance aspect in not just work, but in your overall life.
Yeah.
And Kara came up with the name because she's really good at marketing stuff. She's really good at coming up with acronyms.
We argued,
and that kind of
I
stuff.
think, a little over.
Well, no, I like
what about this word?
You know, but the cozy, when you think about it, when you know, like on a winter's day, you know, the hot chocolate, the blanket around you, you know, the fire going, you know, about to watch a Netflix movie, you feel cozy, you feel safe, you feel at home. So the word cozy actually is a great representation, and we don't look at our mind as being cozy. It's got to be productive, it's got to be restful, it's got to be this, but cozy? Why can't the mind be cozy? Right? So it's actually, I think it's a great name, and it's not something one associates with the mind, but I think we should. Why can't we get cozy with our mind? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love, as we came up with the name, we were really attached to it once we found it, and we Googled, you know, is CozyMind.com available, and it was not. So we're actually CozyMind.me, and I almost love that more.
Cozy me, yes, you know, and that's yes. When the mind is the representation of cozy is at ease, not a care in the world. When the mind hasn't got a care in the world, you know, I am at peace with self. Isn't that the ultimate goal in life, is to be at peace with self? It doesn't matter what's going on around us. I am me, happy to be me. I am love with me. I am that peace that I seek. I am at peace with self. Everybody wants to get there, but not everybody knows how to get there. And that's where you two come in.
Exactly. Yes, that is totally what we try to aim for, what we try to achieve, that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing. And with our life experience, we really think we can help you get there, or maybe not to a totally cozy place, but to a more cozy place. There's so many ways you can do that. Yeah.
It's not like you're going to just, you know, work with you and everything is going to fall into place. You're going to give them skills and strategies and help them find that system that works for them, that they can apply to their lives, but they've got to apply it. You know, you've got the template there for them, but they've got to apply it. They've got to continue it in order for it to continue to work for them and evolve into a way that just becomes an integrated part of their life. So you can only work with people that are willing to work with themselves.
Exactly. And yeah, our goal is not to be with you forever, but to be with you until the point, exactly like you said, where I like to think about it as, you know, you look at your watch when you need to know the time. When you're starting to feel some mental fatigue, I want you to think about going and taking that brain break. That's where we want you to be at.
Paying attention to the signs.
Yeah. And it's easy and it doesn't feel hard. It's just that integrated routine.
Right. It's something you don't need to think about, because it is something that is just automatically you do. You know the signs. Oh, I'm feeling, I have an illness, and part of that illness is fatigue. And it's like a cell phone that never fully charges, you know, so I never get a full battery. And there will be times I can feel I'm wearing down quicker. And if I don't pay attention, it's going to flatten me. If I pay attention and I partner with it, okay, I hear your voice, I'm going to take a break, right? And then it allows me to come back and do what I need to do without, you know, straining myself. It's the same thing that you guys are doing. Read your signs. Know when things are talking to you, how to recognize it, what to do, even trying something different if that's not working. But it's immersing themselves in with themselves and learning to know who they are by being present with self. And a lot of people are not present with self, so it's very, very much needed. Joaquin?
Yeah. And I think your own knowledge, your experience
Yes.
is the actual knowledge.
Yes.
And, you know, some people can say one thing, other people can say another, but until you experiment whatever it is that works for you, then that's where you need to go. And the only way to do it is doing it.
So you're
And
helping them understand what it is that works for them. It's not, no, you've got to do it this way, blah, 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 blah. It's helping them understand their own signs, what works for them, you know, helping them tune into themselves. Is that right?
Yes. And we'll give you some guidelines to experiment with, but never anything overwhelming or too much at once. And we will, you know, take a look at like, hey, did you do this? Did you not? And if you didn't, then let's look at why.
Right. Look at why, and maybe if that's not for you, something else is, let's try it. Right. So, you know, because this, oh no, you got to take my program and this is going to do this for you. Well, we're not cookie cutter, robotic, walking dead type people. We are individuals that want to know what our own instrument is, how to play it, which orchestra to join. So the more you can help the person in their own individual way of centering themselves, of tapping into their own energy, of reading their own signs, of knowing their own signs and what works for them, the more productive and cohesive and cozy they're going to be with everything in their life. So I'm glad that you're not doing it. It's just this one way, signing up, 1,000 people for the one course, but you're working individually with the people because that is so desperately needed.
Yeah, and you never, we call it performance and it covers a lot of things, but you never know how it will actually repercute in their lives. It can be, improving their relationships with their wife or husband or their parents, brothers, friends, whatever it is, preventing some sort of anxiety disorder, depression. There's so many things that that can help you with applying all these different techniques that we try, because we've been there.
Yes.
So we know what it's like, and we've been through the whole lot. And we are okay with sharing it and telling our own experience and how we dealt with it, and giving the others some tools that might work for them. So I think that's really important.
Customizing.
People try out their own stuff and see what works.
My poor daughter has in this last year has lost 3 friends to suicide. And we had awful floods here last year, and one of her friends was sucked away in the flood and his body's never been found. So she's lost 4 really good friend colleagues that she worked with for a long time. And it is just like with the suicides, it was, but nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw the signs. And that is because we've got so good at hiding everything. And, we really need to be able to step into our vulnerability. We really need to say, I'm not okay. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to say, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm just not okay. And have others reach out and just be there for them. Not lecture, not this and that, just be there for them and help them find the right people to kind of be okay with themselves. Because a lot of people, that big 3-letter word, they don't know how. They don't know how to get back on track. They don't know how to listen to the signs. They don't know how to be at peace with self or to get into that cozy state of mind. They just don't know how. They know they need it, but because they don't know where to go and not know how to do it, it ends up being a decision in a moment that is no coming back from. The how is important, isn't it?
It is. And I think, at least for me, I know when I am more present, I'm less in assumption. So I'm not necessarily hopping on a call, assuming that everything is normal and good with my friend. And I'm like listening for some of the subtleties that are there. And that's something we like to, we have a framework and a structure that we can help you through, but it's all iterative. We really do work with your individual needs, kind of like as we've already talked. So we're we're not making this grand assumption that you're going to fit in exactly like 80% of the clients, but that doesn't mean we can't support you.
Right. Yeah. And pivot to what they do need.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what, expertise is about. It's not imposing on somebody. It's because of all the expertise that you've had, especially from life experience. You know where to be flexible, or what else is, it's like a director with a production. He knows the actor or the actress is really, really good, and the lighting would be good here and the lighting would be good that. But what they do is they bring out the essence of the character within that actor or actress. And in that essence, he's pulling it out of them. He's pulling the best out of them. And they then see that for themselves. And in a way, that's what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, we're pulling out your cozy essence.
Yeah, exactly.
You can feel better and do more.
Yes. Come
Yeah,
with your slippers.
A word that came to my mind when you just said that, Sarah, was intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're working with our clients, a lot of what we sense and the answers that we give come from intuition, and knowingness, and that's thanks to slowing down a little bit. And a lot of the time, what people really need is just an excuse to slow down and connect to their own intuition, and that will give them the exact answer they need.
Mm-hmm.
But we are in such a rush mode that we don't ever take that time. But it is so important to listen to your own intuition. Yes. And it is there. It's there always, all the time.
Yep. Just waiting for you to open it up. Yep. Get out of the academic mind, because that will always try and clarify. Oh, yes, but. And I would say, just sit on your butt, right? The academic mind is the knowledge that you have. Again, the intuition is the wisdom and knowing how to use that knowledge. And when you are open intuitively to the forces and the energy that be, whether you want to call it God, universe, spirit, it doesn't really matter. It is that energy that comes through. And that comes through in that clarity. It is that deep breath. It is that centering of that wisdom to know how to use your knowledge. And in that, you are never alone. When you get to that space, it is a place of trust. I trust this wisdom. I don't need to validate. I don't need to verify. I don't need to justify. It just is. And when you are just being, not doing, you have arrived home. Beingness is where you need to be. And that's where you can really know yourself so well that you can know what you need to do to center, to let your essence flow without it costing. And having people to support that and bring that essence out of them and show them how to open up those channels and how to trust themselves and step into their own beingness is a beautiful gift. And, as I said, I love the cozy mind. I love the idea of being cozy with oneself, because that is that place where we're at home. We want to be at home with ourselves. It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So if people want to sign up for it, what is the process that they go through?
Yeah, so we do have a free offering for your audience. We have a 7-day brain breaks challenge. So if you want to experiment with some of these mindful practices, it's 7 different ones. The one at the end, I look a little bit silly, so hopefully you're slightly entertained.
Let's be silly. Let your sillies out. I think it's essential. Yes.
Yes. And you can go directly to our link, which is cozymind.me/7, the number 7, days, DAYS, BB, and then challenge. Or you can go to our main website at cozymind.me. And if you scroll to the part that says "We dare you" and try it out, all you have to do, throw your name in there, your email, and you will get 1 video per day for 7 days.
And again, I go back to You are offering something customized to help people find their own essence and be their own beingness, but they got to step up and participate. This isn't, oh, here's a nice little package for you, become that. We've got to realize we have to do the work. You're just showing them steps they can take in doing that work to reach that essence of who they are faster, and something they can take with them through their entire lives and every aspect of their lives. But they've got to be willing to participate in their own healing, in their own discovery.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I can't register for you.
Nope.
I can't apply the practices
Right.
at work for you.
It doesn't work
but
if you don't do it.
right.
Exactly.
Right. It's
That
just a
isn't-
really beautiful idea.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are in the idea of something or the intent of it, but not, I got another word, actionism. You know, activism is talking about it. Actionism is doing something about it. And I want people to step into actionism. You know, even if you don't know where you're going, blind, deaf, and dumb, in order to see, hear, and feel, just put that one foot in front of the other. Just do
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you realize you're not, then
Yeah.
I would offer up, it doesn't have to be us, but we do, we have our group coaching available. Again, we don't do a group coaching where you won't get some one-on-one attention, but if you need that extra community, if you need that extra accountability, and we have it organized where, like, yes, you get the online recordings if you need to do it on your own time, but we do our best to make all the learnings live so you don't feel like you have this homework. The homework is you just using it at work
Right.
in your own life.
Yes. And they're quite, yes, at work, but we've got to realize again, the business of life is your business, wherever you are, right? So,
yeah, these are tools for the rest of your life that you can apply anywhere, waiting for the bus, at a restaurant,
at that traffic jam.
If you're on a plane, I meditate myself when I get nervous.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And for your everyday routines, it's just like really something that you can take on for the rest of your life. And that is really priceless for me.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's very hopeful to see millennials, because I assume both of you were millennials, to see you guys having already stepped into this mindset, having already seen the importance of this. Because for a lot of my generation, 50, 60, 70, even 80, 90, it's realizing I was living, waiting for permission. And I was living under society's dictation. And none of that worked. That's why we had so much dysfunction. And now I'm in discovery of myself. And for a long time, my audience would be the 40 plus. And now, I am getting the 30s and the 20s and even the teens, which is wonderful, because the quicker you do the work when you're young, the more you're going to be productive and enjoy life and your meaningful purpose through life, and not have to wait for the cosmic 2x4 or for your near death to happen before you wake up and realize that you don't need permission. The only person that needs to give you permission is yourself. To nurture and love and look after yourself is the greatest gift that you can give you, because now in that beautiful, loving vibration of who you are now serving others. But we can't serve others if we're broken and shattered. So it's imperative that you look after yourself so that you can be more productive in whatever your chosen meaningful purpose is. So I'm very happy that you guys have stepped up in doing this, because there's a lot of people that do need it. And you may not be addressing the older age group, you may be addressing the millennials. Thank you. Because you're the future leaders. You're the ones that are going to make things change in this world. So we have to be the change we seek. We have to be the love we seek. We have to be the peace we seek. And when we are, that's when change happens. Good change. So the more you help people become that, the more they become part of the solution to the world's problems. So thank you for doing this. And again, the CozyMind, CozyMind.me, folks, CozyMind.me, and sign up for the 7-day challenge there. And that's a great way of dipping your toe in to feel if, this is right for me or not, or I like the way this is making me feel. And then once you've done that challenge, it's like, okay, I want to continue. because now you're immersed in it. If you don't immerse into it, you're not going to see results. It's like, I'm going to go on this diet, but I'll just eat this piece of cake, right? It's just somewhere along the line, you've got to go and say no to something and yes to something and commit to it. Right. So thank you for stepping up and doing this now, because your generation needs it. The generation to come underneath that needs it. And we know that this world is totally screwed up a lot by my generation. And the only way we're going to stabilize it is by stabilizing ourselves, because that's when we can see what really needs to be done. That's where the clarity lies, right? So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us, Sarah. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your support, your advocacy, and it's just been a pleasure, back and forth having this interaction with you.
Well, again, I love the way you're doing. I love the title. I love the approach that you're taking. It's not one size fits all. It's realizing you have a structure, but that structure, rather like a willow tree, can bend according to the connection with your client, and allowing that connection to really bring out the essence of that person for them maybe to see for the very first time, right? And that's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
When you've got somebody who's like, I'm cozy with me, then they're home. They're home. And when they're home, they feel safe. And then they're open to all that beautiful knowledge that comes to them of what they need to do and why they need to do it, what their contribution is to life. So getting them cozy is a good thing to do. CozyMind.me, folks, please go check it out, the 7-day challenge. It's right here on the show page. And please reach out, give it a try, reach out to them. And remember, when you participate in your own life, that's when you start seeing your own life improve. It's up to you. They're here to guide you, nurture you, and show you the way. You've got to walk it. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.